One got knocked down, he won't get up again. The other went knocked him down. One got knocked down, and now he's fucking dead. The other went knocked him out. Combo breaker!
When you think of ultimate power, your mind probably goes to a zillion one places. Like Goku, Superman, the Sentry, myself. Or maybe you think of something a bit more godlike, such as Kratos or Wonder Woman. But today's two fighters put those guys and girls to shame. I'm of course talking about Albert Simmons, aka Spawn, and Thanos, the Mad Titan. But despite this matchup a bit, I'll be allowing them both to go full power. So Thanos will have his Infinity Gauntlet and Spawn will be in his God form. Yeah, this is gonna be one intense as hell match. Spawn. He's back on my show after a crushing loss to a badass vampire slayer, aka Simon Belmont. But he's back with a power boost, so let's go ahead and cover what Spawn can do, starting with his powers and arsenal. Spawn has time manipulation and teleportation. He also has an impressive healing factor, and using his magic, he can actually use telekinesis. He can shapeshift as well as fly and climb walls and even hypnotize people and phase through things. He's immune to aging, and he must be killed by decapitation by a holy weapon. He can manipulate necro energy for his attacks, and he can actually has precognition, pretty similar to Peter Parker's spider sense. But Spawn in his god form can also open portals to heaven and hell, and use hellfire that can destroy people on a molecular level. He can even has some sort of reality warping using magic. He can also create illusions and black holes, summon demons, stop time, and manipulate the elements such as darkness and the fucking weather and nature. Like, what does that even mean? How do you manipulate nature? Like, honestly. And finally, in his god form, he's granted these powers: spiritual manipulation, soul manipulation, mind manipulation, matter manipulation, life and death manipulation, and on top of that, his current powers as well. When it comes to his arsenal, well, the sky's the fucking limit. But typically, he uses capes, chains, and a shit ton of guns. We also see him using swords and battle axes every once in a while, but this isn't too often. When it comes to his stats, Spawn's a fucking beast. Like, honestly. Spawn should be above Angela in power, who could easily destroy solar systems, and since we were using God Spawn, we can mention that he can actually get to an incredibly high power and strength feats, like the fact that he's stronger than both Image God and Image Satan. He dethroned them and took their power and reshaped the universe in his image. Keep in mind that Image Satan has the power of 9 spheres of hell, some of which the size of universes, and that Image God has made 7 realms that some were the size of universes as well. This makes Spawn an absolute monster in strength. But Spawn's also able to scale to Angela, who's easily faster than light, and with his god powers and teleportation, he's damn near omnipresent. And he's at least massively faster than light with that, and he can actually become omnipresent in the 8th dimension of hell, which is incredibly useful. When it comes to durability, Spawn has taken out goons, survived gunshots, and even fought the Violator. And in order to gain his god powers, he had to take on and beat Image God and Satan and their armies, and then harness their power, giving him a massive boost of durability. When it comes to intelligence, Spawn is a trained assassin who's a master of using his weapons like guns and blades. He also has his master of using magic, and he's incredibly skilled too, as he's skilled enough to beat the entire armies of heaven and hell on his own. When it comes to weaknesses though, Spawn really only has one weakness, and that's his limited magic use, and well, if you decapitate him with a holy weapon, it's game over. I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Alright, parts that made me cry aside, I loved Infinity War. It was such a fucking amazing movie and horribly sad. More importantly, it was badass. And of course, you know we're talking about Thanos with his Infinity Bitch Slap Glove. I mean Infinity Gauntlet. So, on to his powers, I guess. Thanos can manipulate matter, fly, use telepathy, and manipulate energy for epic badass attacks. He can create force fields and even has a healing factor, but it's not the most amazing healing factor in the Marvel Universe by any means. He can actually manipulate death, as he gave death to the entire to an entire universe where death doesn't exist. And he can also use magic. But Thanos with his Infinity Gauntlet also has straight up reality warping, as he can manipulate space, time, minds, age, and elements. He can also, fucking manipulate biological things, and he once blew up 2 of Death's minions from the inside. He's constantly tortured Nebula and Eros before by altering their bodies. He can manipulate explosions. He can trap people inside the Soul Gem and vanish others from existence. He can create life and death. He has the ability to create things. He can manipulate both life and death. He's created life and eliminated half the universe just by snapping his fingers. He can stop time, as he once had Earth's time completely frozen in a standstill. And Thanos can actually transmute things, like the time he turned Thor completely into glass, and the time he turned Wolverine's bones into rubber. Yeah. He's also got a kind of sort of spider sense, it's precognition. It's pretty cool, though. And, Thanos is just ungodly strong. With the Infinity Gauntlet, he was able to shake the Beyonder Realm, which is a dimension outside of the entire Marvel multiverse, and it could be looked at as a hyperverse, although this doesn't necessarily make him hyperversal. He's also took down Eternity, which is a living multiverse in and of itself, and with the Infinity Gauntlet, he has complete mastery over time and space and reality. The mind and soul. He also has the mind and soul and power gems that give him even more strength. And even in his base form, he's shown the ability to dimension hop. And on rare occasions, he's shown that he can actually, well, if he really needed to, wipe out half of life in the universe just by snapping his fingers. And of course, he has beaten down Galactus and with his gauntlet. And he's fought Silver Surfer without his gauntlet, and even mopped the floor with Thor before. But when it comes to speed, Thanos should scale the Marvel's fastest heroes, as he's dominated them in fights before, meaning he should scale the likes of Hulk, Thor, and even Silver Surfer in speed. And durability. Don't even get me fucking started on Thanos' freaking durability. He's a beast. He survived blows from the Hulk and Silver Surfer without a scratch. Keep in mind that this was he's even taken on powered up Thor without a scratch, and that was classic base Thanos who took those hits. At one point, he survived the destruction of reality around him without the gauntlet, and he survived hits from the Beyonders before. That's incredibly impressive. Plus, Thanos is ungodly smart. He's a skilled warrior, leader, and tactician, capable of beating down Marvel's best heroes in a fight. And with the Mind Stone, he can just read people's minds altogether. Now, Thanos isn't perfect, because he has unconsciously let himself lose before, and if he ever thinks that he's unworthy, he can do this again. Not to mention, the Gauntlet has ridiculous amounts of power, but he doesn't use his best gems in combat unless he believes his opponent is a real threat. Alright, our two overpowered, all-powerful combatants are set. Which one will come out on top in a fight to the death? Thanos sits atop his throne awaiting a challenger worth his time. But as he stares at the fallen heroes in front of him, a beam of light shines down from above as an angelic silhouette floats down and flaps his wings. Thanos looks at the silhouette intrigued, but his concentration is interrupted by a sniper bullet that hits him directly in the head. Thanos falls back in his chair as it tips over and Spawn lands with his wings retracting. Spawn puts his sniper rifle away and begins to walk away from the battle, but an energy blast flies straight past his head. Spawn turns around to see Thanos pointing his gauntlet towards Spawn. Spawn rushes towards Thanos and gut punches him and follows up with an upward swing of his battle axe. Thanos gets launched to the air as Spawn jumps up towards him. Thanos then grabs Spawn and spins him, throwing him into the ground. Spawn teleports behind Thanos and is met with a backhand from Thanos, launching him back. Spawn then stops himself in midair with his wings extending out. He then fires a large blast of necro energy at Thanos, who blows it away midair with a blast from his Infinity Gauntlet. Spawn then launches a swarm of chains that start to wrap around Thanos and constrict him. Thanos starts to struggle as Spawn grabs an assault rifle and starts to unload it into Thanos, but the bullets bounce off him like balls against a brick wall. Spawn then opens up portals all around Thanos and releases a swarm of demons that rush in and start slashing and biting into Thanos, ripping off chunks of his flesh. Thanos then snaps the chains and snaps his fingers, causing Spawn and his demons to fade from existence. Thanos starts to laugh as a portal opens beneath him and chains raise up and grab him. Thanos is dragged through the portal into the depths of hell, only to see Spawn flying towards him to slash his sword straight at him. Thanos catches the blade and gut punches him, follows up with a headbutt. Spawn then stumbles back as Thanos rushes over and shoves his gauntlet into Spawn's stomach and blasts him with a full power energy blast from his gauntlet, blowing Spawn to pieces, having them rain into pits of lava. Thanos then laughs as he snaps his fingers and reappears in his throne. Alright, big thanks to Cornell Keith for helping out the research on this episode. He was a big help coming up with the research on both Thanos and Spawn. So our winner is Thanos, and let me remind you that this is Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet versus Spawn with his God and Satan powers. So why does Spawn lose to Thanos? Well, let's go ahead and talk about stats first. So Thanos has defeated the living embodiment of the Marvel multiverse, so that right there makes him multiversal plus levels of strength and durability. And while he does have other impressive feats, they all put him around this level, so to save time I won't even mention them. So Spawn, well, he's stronger than Image God and Satan, and both Image God created 7 heaven dimensions, and some of which were actually the size of universes, and Satan created 9 spheres of hell, some of which were the size of universes. So God Spawn should have around low levels of multiversal strength and durability. So right off the bat, Thanos is stronger and more durable, but what about speed? Well, Spawn is much, much faster than light and is able to keep up with Image God and Satan on his own, and in his own realm, he's omnipresent. So what about Thanos? Well, he's easily able to keep up with Silver Surfer, giving him massively faster than light speeds. So Spawn and him would have very similar speeds, but Spawn takes the speed category if he takes this fight to his own realm. But now we need to talk about the real reason that God Spawn is defeated by Thanos. Both Spawn and Thanos can warp reality, time, space, mind, souls, etc., but Thanos has shown that with his gauntlet, he can do these things on a much greater extent. Spawn, even with his god power, has never shown the same amount of raw power the Infinity Gauntlet has. You see, one of Spawn's only advantage in this fight was his godly regeneration. That was so good he once regenerated from being wiped from existence. But he can't regenerate forever, and eventually Thanos would simply overwhelm him with his ridiculous strength and abilities. Especially when you consider the fact that he prefers to use guns, and guns won't really do much against Thanos. Thanos simply raised too much hell for Spawn to handle. Our winner is Thanos.